Hi there, Victor Irving Jenkins, Crave the Spotlight Public Speaking Tips. As a public speaker, you probably use your income to see how well you're doing, huh? Well, once your income stabilizes and you can rely on your income, you still need some sort of a barometer to know how good you're doing. One way to do that is to have someone evaluate you. In fact, you may consider getting evaluated on a regular basis. Take a listen to this next guy. He is the creme de la creme of evaluators, one of the best I've ever heard. So check him out and then compare what he says with what you do in your speeches. And if it turns out that you like what he says well enough that you want him to evaluate you, click on that little info link up there and I'll send you to his website. Anyway, Victor Irving Jenkins, Public Speaking Tips. See you next time.
Morris, your presentation was really inspiring this morning, and I appreciate your taking the time to share it. Your professional appearance, I was really impressed with, and it just illustrates to me, I feel naked. I didn't bring a tie. I meant to, and I left without it. So it was really nice just to see how being professionally dressed and the shawl and your hair just color coordinated and dress, everything. So that was awesome. And I think it's important because somebody once said to me, it's easier to listen to somebody if you enjoy looking at them. And every speaker can look good. And so that was something that really impressed me. Your gestures throughout, I thought were just appropriate, were very engaging, and it really expressed the enthusiasm that you brought to your whole presentation. And speaking of enthusiasm, your smile in the beginning when you opened it up, I just thought, wow, okay. It just brought me up and it made me realize how I bring things down because I'm so serious. So my commitment when I got up here was to smile. I don't know if I can follow through on it, but you inspired me to make that commitment. When you began, it's very, and this just happens in life. Something changes from what you expected, and now all of a sudden you've got to do it different. So you had to stand up here and wait. And then what do you talk about? Now, you could have a nice little performance like Lieutenant and, keep everybody engaged. If you don't, just stand. Just stand and wait, if it's not a long time. And there's nothing wrong in it. It's very appropriate. When you did start talking, you started talking about needing glasses, and so it sounded kind of, apologetic or explaining. So again, we don't need to get into that.
Well, I thought that was my waste time part. I didn't think I was on camera at that point.
Well, no, it's not to being on camera. It's your relationship to the audience.
Okay.
See, there's 30 people here, and so they're following you. So if you're starting out by talking about needing glasses or they don't help or what, so now that's where your audience is. So that was the only thing I noticed on that. As for the content, this is a perfect example of how just really great stories, I think, now this is just a suggestion, maybe you ought to consider starting off with the story, I'm going to retire in 2 years. What am I going to do with my life? Where I got confused was in the beginning you talked about planning. So the first thing when you say planning for retirement, my first thought is financial. But as you were going along, I got, that isn't what you were talking about. So it would have been perhaps a little bit more connective for me if I could have gotten right into this really great story about preparing emotionally. What are you going to do with your life? And the story you told about having this little enterprise and your friend sharing with you that if a little bit more details about that, because what I found happening to me, Dolores, is I was getting excited. And that's where I went on this speech. There was a lot of excitement, and I kind of dropped down in excitement. Where I got excited was the stories you illustrated about people doing something with their life after they're retired. And then your enthusiasm and more details. And I'm just thinking, if you had built your story, your presentation on those stories, and then filled in the points underneath, you could have built that into kind of a really high, what's the word we want, inspirational motivational, that's the word, motivational speech. Because I found, and I'm sure all of us did the same thing, I began to think of things that I could do when I retired, and how much fun that would be. And so you got me all excited thinking about, I could be doing this and that, wow, and living in that world. So if you had kind of started at that and then built it up and then concluded with, your life can be anything you want it to be. This is your new career. I think it just would have had an energy that would have just totally had all of us enthralled, because it was all there. See, that's the point. It's all in there. It's just kind of like, how do you move it around and fudge it and push it in so that now it flows into a really powerful presentation. And of course, I will say for all of us, the first time we do it, we're dependent upon our notes, and that's always distracting. So if you do it over and over where there's no notes, and then bring in that emotional, building of energy, it's an awesome presentation. Thank you.
All right.